when it comes to negative thoughts and dissatisfaction, what I think the biggest reset or review or redefining that we're pushed to do is reviewing the obstacles to our sense of satisfaction. So if you're feeling unsatisfied, then you got to ask yourself, well, how do I measure satisfaction? And I've already talked about, in episode 1 and in episode 2, I've talked about feeling empty, which is a type of dissatisfaction. I've talked about feeling frustrated and angry. And all of those things are elements of dissatisfaction. And all of those, I guess you could call them negative thoughts. So everything is kind of interrelated when it comes to that feeling of low mood, that feeling of depression. But in terms of the 5 W's that I've introduced in this series and talking about, what of the 5 W's are you redefining? Are you needing to take another look at, to review? Where I said, it's who do you see yourself as? What are you comfortable with? The when maybe you think things are supposed to happen, or where you think you should be in life, and why, the age-old question of, what's the point of all of this? The when and the where is really interplaying with this whole negative thoughts and your feelings of dissatisfaction. At least that's been my experience. When you get to the point where you say, I feel like by now I should be here, I should be accomplishing this, or this should be, the fruit of all of this effort that I've made. You look at it as, it should have happened by now. Then that's a when kind of reassessment. You're reassessing the when, because your measuring stick was, okay, I did all these things, especially when you feel like you did them all in the right order, what according the right order is, and it's not working out that way. Then yes, negative thoughts and dissatisfaction are strong because you haven't seen the result at the time frame that you thought you were supposed to. You thought that it was going to happen. And then also where do you think you're supposed to be in life? The achievement, the status. And it can really lead to a total sense of tiredness, because if you've been like, I'm on track, and then you're hit with maybe a divorce. You didn't get that job, which was going to take you to that next level, the next milestone that you have envisioned for yourself. Whatever it is that becomes the obstacle, it's going to be obviously that first focus of this is where my dissatisfaction lies, in the actual obstacle. But the sense of depression should always be viewed, I think, as what is it helping me to redefine? Because even then, it's your perspective of the situation that's going to help you get back on track more easily. So let me share with you one of my experiences where I was a young wife. I had, I had all my kids. The 4 kids were all kind of under 5 years old, and we were visiting a friend who had recently moved to the same duty station we were at. And they had just bought a house. We were renting. They were officer, and my husband was enlisted Army, and they were getting to kind of pull up the carpet and change how they wanted it to look. They were able to make their vision of their next step a reality. They were doing all of these things, and I was very happy for them. But I know that I was also a bit depressed, and I did have negative thoughts. I did have a sense of dissatisfaction, and my family wasn't on that same timetable. So the when wasn't happening in the same time that I was comparing to somebody else. Where I was and where we were as a family with my husband on a sergeant's pay was different, and was always going to be different actually, to where her husband was on an officer's pay. And so I was seeing all these discrepancies and this sense of comparison. I mean, how can you help it? You're going to compare, you're going to see, and you're immediately going to ask yourself, how do I measure up to that? There's nothing wrong with that. So I didn't stay long in my negative thoughts, but I did see the discrepancies, and I saw the obstacles. We're not there yet. We haven't been able to save that kind of money. We didn't have the parents who helped us with this or that. I mean, there are many reasons why one person who you feel is your peer is moving ahead or achieving certain milestones, and it could be because of external help or maybe savvy investing, whatever, and you can view your side and think, oh, well, we're not there yet. But here's the thing. I'm always trying to discipline myself, or maybe you could call it disciple myself to spirit, to say, okay, my rules for myself that I hold myself to are that I will be grateful for what I have. And I was absolutely grateful for what I have, even as I saw what they had. My rule is that I will focus on respecting and honoring that, no matter how my mind is distracted and how it makes me feel unfair. I wish we were there already. I will focus on respecting and honoring what I have. I didn't ever want to be ungrateful for what I already had, because even as you can desire more, you have what you have. And it's so much more important. What are we doing to honor that, to take care of it, and to show that this little bit that I have, whatever that is important to me. I appreciate it, and I absolutely acknowledge that I'm fortunate to have it. So when I brought myself back to that, after noticing the obstacles in the way of my own satisfaction to, be at that level where they were in moving forward in family life and in their own milestones, the typical milestones that we all see about owning a home and so forth. What I feel was pressing down on me, the depression that I was feeling, was the inability to have a sense of permanency. So the most important thing that shifted for me in my perspective was really returning myself to those rules that I had set for myself, that I want to be grateful for what I have and focus on respecting and honoring that. And in that intention that I brought back to, okay, I can see what would be cool to have, and it would be great to be like choosing the kind of carpet I have rather than, or the countertops, because I had olive green countertops in the rental that we were living in. It would be so cool, to put my own personal stamp on that, and to be living in that way. I needed to be able to respect that this is what I have and it is good. Even as I saw someone else getting to choose her countertops and everything. Bringing myself back to that kind of gratitude and that kind of focus really did bring me that shift more quickly, because I asked myself, sure, I would love to have those things. But I said, and this was, I think, a nudge, that awareness and a greater wisdom that said, wait a minute, okay, we can compare ourselves to others, but do you really want that life? And do you want all of that life? Because like that friend of mine, her children had some issues with their health. My children didn't have issues with their health. And I thought, what, do I get to pick and choose what I covet from someone else? While in the meantime, I would like to keep having the good things that I have. And I just decided for myself that I didn't really have any obstacles to my satisfaction. My depression and that sense of negative thoughts and dissatisfaction that I was feeling was normal, and it was okay to compare for a little while. But I really didn't want the whole of someone else's life. I wanted to love and appreciate mine even more. And so that's where I returned my focus, and in doing that, it really neutralized my depression, because I was able to just say, yeah, I would like to be there, but I'm not there right now. And I didn't decide that was some sort of huge error in my life, when and where we think we're supposed to be and when we're supposed to be achieving certain things and, having certain status or any of that is not on any timeline that is absolute. So all of us will see other people having certain things at certain times. And in the meantime, maybe we need to just accept that, yeah, I feel a little bit sad and a little bit negative or dissatisfied that, I'm not there yet. But when we realize where we are, then we return it to actually magnifying the blessings that exist now. That's been my experience of getting unstuck from negative thoughts and dissatisfaction. And honestly, there are always blessings. We cannot overlook that. It's so easy, especially when we're continuously or repetitiously acknowledging our blessings, that it almost becomes mundane. And then it feels like, yeah, I know I have my blessings, but, there's dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction, fine, it's there, okay. But it's in renewing freshness to the feeling of truly respecting and honoring the littlest things, and desiring, again, with that mind, heart, spirit willingness to say, help me not to take for granted the things that I have. Help me to feel a renewed sense of joy within what is. And if I'm going through struggles, and so the joy within what is has a lot of struggle involved, then it's helped me to keep refining how I'm living and how I am making choices and speaking up and redefining what we need to do so that I can make a better experience and I can work through whatever challenges I'm facing. So, in closing, what I'd like to just leave you with is to be very watchful of the word should. That word that says it should be this way, or it should have happened by now. It's not a bad word or anything like that, but it really cultivates that sense of dissatisfaction. It just kind of encourages our negative thoughts in the direction of, well, it was supposed to have already happened, when we think things are supposed to happen and where we think we should be in life. And should is a goal that we can always have as our ultimate, but in the now, that's where we return ourselves. So it's a little bit of discipline or discipling ourselves to being humbled to spirit and saying, I can't wait to see what is unfolding for me. And in my own experience, the house I live in today, I marvel at how it has come together. I'm amazed that we now have the very things that, many years later, I can say, these things have all been fulfilled. Not because I was coveting them anymore, not because I needed them to be happy, but at the same time, they are so many of the things that when I would appreciate someone else's things, wow, I really like what they have. But with that open willingness to say, I can appreciate it without coveting it from that person. It kind of just informed how we were given what we were given in terms of this opportunity to buy this house. So pretty cool, and I'm happy for it. I think that negative thoughts and dissatisfaction are a type of depression that are normal, and we can work through them, but we can definitely disciple or discipline ourselves to return to a level of removing that exoskeleton of obstacles that we think it must be at this time or it should be in this way. And we can keep living life with much more fullness and much more happiness and an uplifted sense, even as we're not there yet and we haven't, achieved that yet. So I really hope that gives you something to think about for this week, and I wish you well. I hope you take care, and I'll talk to you next time.